morning. Welcome to
KidMath number 148.
KidMath number 148. So we started a new chapter today on special functions. And one of the special functions that we're talking about was square root. Okay. Can you tell me a couple important properties about the square root?
Well, it reduces numbers, usually by a lot.
How interesting. What do you mean?
Like when you have 256. That goes to 16 when you take the square root.
Oh, interesting. Do you think all numbers get smaller when you take the square root?
Not all of them, like when you have fractions, like a fourth. I mean, like, well, usually all of them, except for 0. 0 goes to 0.
Okay. What happens to a fourth?
A fourth,
What's the square root of a fourth?
it's a 16th. Wait, no, it's a half.
Which one?
It's a fourth, yeah, it's a half.
Okay. So what is what does it mean when we say the square root of 1/4 equals a half? What is this saying?
It's a saying that a half squared is a fourth.
Right. A half squared is a fourth. And that's true, right?
Yeah,
So is a half bigger than a fourth or less than a fourth?
it's bigger than a fourth.
Okay. So sometimes the numbers actually do get bigger.
For integers, they get smaller, except for 0.
Ah, interesting. Okay. For integers, they get smaller, except for 0 and one other number.
And the negative numbers, well, -1.
What happens to
No,
minus 1?
It goes to I.
Okay, so we're not going to talk about minuses. Minuses can't be inside of square roots for now.
Yeah.
There is another number that is the same.
1.
1 stays the same. What do you think happens in between 0 and 1?
Like with halves, it seems like they get bigger.
Yeah, so in between 0 and 1, the numbers actually get bigger. Like 1/16 goes to 1/4. But bigger than 1, they get smaller. Okay, so that's interesting. So what else can you tell me about the square root function? Besides this, what we've been talking about
Well,
now.
inside the square root has to be positive.
Okay, so one thing for sure is inside it has to be bigger than or equal to 0. Okay, it doesn't have to necessarily be positive, but it can't be negative.
Yeah.
Okay,
Otherwise you get eyes.
all right. What else about the square root?
Well, if the inside is greater than or equal to 0, then the output's going to be greater than or equal.
Okay, so the domain of the square root function is all numbers bigger than 0, and the range is also all numbers bigger than or equal to 0. Okay, so we're trying to find the domain and range of 3 times the square root of 5 minus x minus 2.
We have to figure out what x is, or what x can be.
Yeah, figure out what x can be.
Well,
I'm trying to scoot out of the way here.
minus x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 0
Okay.
from inside the square root. This means that x minus 5 is less than or equal to 0.
Okay, why is that?
Because when you multiply by -1, the inequality flips around.
Okay, good. Yeah, try to stay a little bit away from the words.
Which
there.
means x is less than or equal to 5.
Okay. So you think x is less than or equal to 5 here. All right.
Because if x is negative, you've got double minus, which is okay.
Okay, good. So it's good to check. Like pick some numbers that are less than or equal to 5. 5 certainly works, right?
Yeah.
And what's another number? Pick any other number.
-1 works.
-1 seems to work. Okay, so this seems like at least we've got the inequality going the right way. Like if we accidentally had x greater than 5, and we say pick 10, it would be 5 minus 10. Oh, whoops.
Negatives.
Okay, so it seems like we got the inequality going the right way. So the domain is x less than or equal to 5. Okay, what about the range?
Well, the range, -2 is the lowest number you can have.
Why is that?
Because you have this 3 times the square root.
Why does that tell me -2 is the lowest number?
Because you have -2 is the lowest because this is 0.
Ah, okay. The lowest value of the square root function is when it's 0, because otherwise it's positive. Okay. So -2 is the lowest value of this function.
And then when you have stuff in there it gets bigger. So it's all not the total thing gets bigger.
Okay.
So it's all numbers bigger. It's greater than or equal to -2.
Okay, so this is the range.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Okay. Good job. Good job. Good job. It's interesting to think about these functions.
Yep.